This is Matt Ferry in 2 Boxing. I'm delighted to be joined by Savage Dan ahead of what is going to be one hell of a grudge match Saturday night. Eubank Jr, Liam Williams, the tension in here when Eubank walked past that open workout looks like it could go off. Talk to me about this event and how good it's going to be.
I mean, the card is good enough. You don't even really have to go to the top of the bill, but let's start at the top of the bill anyway. It is a ridiculous grudge match, you know. It's a couple of years in the making. I think it's a good clash of styles as well as personalities and like two people who genuinely don't like each other. It always just makes for a better spectacle, if you ask me. And then when you add the fact that it's happening in Cardiff in front of Liam's home fans, and probably the fact that Eubank would prefer that, you know, than it to be a pro Eubank crowd.
That was sort of leading on to my next question, because everyone always talks about home comforts, but with home comforts comes pressure. You've seen the cheer Liam got here, so he's under pressure to perform, and Eubank's under pressure to spoil the party. But I suppose there's less pressure on him because it's like he knows he can upset a lot of people, so it's more of a motivation. So how do you see that in terms of, you know, who is the pressure on? Do you think it's with Liam or with Chris?
I think it's equal. I think the thing is with Eubank, he's going to fight the crowd regardless. I feel like he's a bit of a road warrior. Like, he likes to do that, go into somebody's hometown and beat them and beat the thousands of fans that are in there as well. That's his game, that's his story. With some fighters like Liam Williams, you know, I think they thrive off having the crowd behind them and to hear that roar. And sometimes when things get tough in a fight, you draw on the crowd for a bit more energy, and they give you that extra bit that you need, and that you'll probably need when you're fighting Chris Eubank. So it's a tough one, you know. Also, I think one of the major things that might play a factor in this fight is the trainers. And by saying that, I mean we've got Roy Jones in Chris Eubank's corner, who will probably try and make him box a little bit more than he naturally would. But in the opposite corner, I think you've got the same thing. You've got Adam Booth that will try and implement maybe a sharper jab on Liam Williams. I think we could see a tiny bit of a stalemate and a bit of a cautious opening, and then it will explode.
That's a very good point, that, because when you look at Roy Jones, obviously, and Chris Eubank's last couple of performances, you've seen snippets of him calming down, whereas before he'd maybe throw a flurry of punches, maybe using unnecessary energy, whereas he's tried to slow it down, parry his jab and do some slick movements. And Adam Booth's obviously famous for that type of style, coming out, sharp jab, moving, great footwork. So it's probably not too far off the mark, is that. When we talk about this card though, we've got the GOAT. I want to get on to her. I just spoke to her. She's coming here full of confidence. Clarissa Shields. She's achieved an awful lot in boxing. I've said to her, you know, you could probably walk away from the sport now. You're in the history books regardless. But she's coming in here wanting to make a name for herself and become that superstar. What do you make of Clarissa coming over?
I absolutely love the energy she's come with, because she's come off the plane into Britain, and she's decided, no, this is about me. And you've got to respect it, you know. It will rub some people out the wrong way because people will see it as arrogance and brashness, but I think you have to have that as a fighter, that self-belief, that confidence. It's not for everyone, because Savannah Marshall is the silent killer, you know. She'll go about things in a completely different way, but Claressa, she wants people to know, no, I am the best. I've won the Olympics twice. I've unified and undisputed division champions and all of this. She's done everything. She wants everyone to understand and respect what she's done. There will be little argument that she is the greatest woman of all time. You know, she hasn't had nearly as many fights as Emma Kozin, because that's a tough fight.
Undefeated as well.
Undefeated. She's had more knockouts than Clarissa's had fights. So there's a lot of moving parts to that. You know, that's not a walkover. But I think Clarissa's so full of confidence, and she's so good at what she does that most people can't see a way past her for now.
I spoke to her about this fight, and obviously we did mention that she's undefeated, this girl. She has been in camp and she has been getting pointers off in many people's eyes, undoubtedly one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, Floyd Mayweather, speaking about how to be patient, work on timing, don't rush, pick your shots. She says he's coming apparently on Saturday. A lot of pressure, a lot to live up to if you've been getting advice off him. What do you make of Floyd Mayweather's influence and how key that could be?
Floyd Mayweather's influence can only be positive, in my opinion, on a dedicated fighter, world champion. That is only going to bring, you know, a wealth of knowledge and like positives to your camp.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to have Floyd Mayweather in my camp. That is the guy. He's been there, done it, and it's. I'm guessing it's only ever going to be positive advice. You know what you just said. You know, just sit behind your jab, be patient. Those kind of things are going to be needed for someone like Emma Kozin, because she's not going to give you your openings. You have to be patient, wait for them, be sharp when they do come. So yeah, I love the fact that Mayweather's behind us. In my opinion, it is the best ever. Maybe I bought into the hype there.
No, you know, I've got to say, I always say in some people's, it's mine too, in all honesty. But yeah.
He's the guy, you know, if you're going to take any advice from somebody, it would be somebody like that. Same way Chris Eubank Jr. has obviously found his way, you know, of having lots of respect and taking advice from Roy Jones Jr. You want to learn from the best. They were there, they did it, they've got the blueprint.
Absolutely. Now, all roads look like they're going to lead to a clash between Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields. Savannah's back out in Newcastle, I think it was announced earlier, March 12th, if I'm not mistaken. How big is this fight? We've obviously seen Katie Taylor's fight's been announced with Amanda Serrano, New York, Madison Square Garden. How does this one weigh up against that?
I think it's neck and neck, but I would probably say that by the time this fight happens, Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields, I think that is the biggest fight possible in women's boxing. It is a monster fight. Plus, it's got the backstory. The only person that Clarissa's ever lost to when she was like 17 years old was Savannah Marshall. And you know, there's for me, you've got Savannah, who is a beast of a fighter. Like she has got some serious power. You hear all the guys that spar her, and they say, no, it is not. This is not a joke. It's not stories. She hits hard. So that fight, I think by the time it comes round, providing they both get good wins and look good, I think it is the biggest fight that you can make in women's boxing.
Absolutely. Look, I cannot wait for this card Saturday night. I'm going to be privileged to be there. We look forward to seeing how it all unfolds. So much can happen after whoever wins goes on to so much better things. Appreciate you talking to Into Boxing, and fingers crossed we'll catch up again post-fight.
Definitely, man. I'll see you on fight night.